The summer heat in suburban Chicago was unrelenting that July afternoon, turning my backyard into a sweltering oven where even the grass seemed to wilt under the sun's glare. I had stripped off my shirt to mow the lawn, sweat dripping down my back as I pushed the old machine across the uneven turf, oblivious to everything but the rhythmic hum of the engine. That's when I looked up and locked eyes with the new landscaper my neighbor had recommended. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a tool belt slung low on his hips, and before I could react, he grinned, peeled off his own sweat-soaked tee, and tossed it aside like it was the most natural thing in the world. His name was Julian, I learned later, a 28-year-old guy from a working-class family in the South Side, who had started his own landscaping business after dropping out of community college. I was Ethan, 26, a graphic designer working remotely from my modest two-bedroom house in Oak Park, a place I'd bought with inheritance money after my parents passed in a car accident 3 years ago. That day, as he approached with a hedge trimmer in hand, his bare chest glistening under the midday sun, I felt a jolt I hadn't experienced since college. A mix of curiosity and something deeper, more forbidden in the quiet corners of my mind. We started talking casually at first. "Hot one today, huh?" he said, wiping his forehead with the back of his hand. I nodded, trying to play it cool, but my eyes kept drifting to the tattoos peeking out from his shoulders. A faded eagle on one side, a quote in script on the other. He noticed, of course, and chuckled. "You got any ink?" I shook my head, feeling exposed in more ways than one. As he worked on trimming the overgrown bushes along the fence, we chatted about the neighborhood, the Cubs' losing streak, and how the real estate boom was pushing out locals like him. It was easy, effortless, like we'd known each other for years. But beneath the surface, tensions simmered. I hadn't come out to anyone in my circle. Not my conservative aunt who lived nearby and dropped in unannounced. Not my coworkers during Zoom calls. And certainly not the friends from high school who still ribbed me about settling down with a nice girl. Being gay in a progressive city like Chicago should have been straightforward, but in my suburb, where church picnics and block parties revolved around traditional families, it felt like a secret I carried like a weight. Julian, on the other hand, seemed unapologetically himself. Over the next few visits, he'd signed on for weekly maintenance. He shared bits of his life. Growing up with a single mom, bouncing between jobs, and dating guys openly since he was 19. "Life's too short to hide," he'd say with a shrug, but I sensed the scars behind his casual tone. One afternoon, as we shared a cold beer on my patio after he'd finished mulching the flower beds, the conversation turned personal. "You ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" he asked, his blue eyes piercing through me. I hesitated, staring at the label on my bottle. "All the time," I admitted softly. That was the spark, the moment when casual flirtation tipped into something real. He leaned in, his hand brushing mine, and for a second, the world narrowed to just us. But then my phone buzzed. My aunt, reminding me about the family barbecue that weekend. Reality crashed back in. As the weeks passed, our encounters grew more charged. Julian would show up early. We'd work side by side. Me pretending to help with the yard just to be near him, and stolen glances turned into lingering touches. But society crept in like weeds. My neighbor, Mrs. Hargrove, a retired teacher with a knack for gossip, started raising eyebrows. "That boy's here an awful lot," she'd say over the fence, her tone laced with suspicion. I brushed it off, but inside, doubt gnawed at me. Was I ready for the stares? The whispers? Julian pushed me gently. "Come to my place sometime," he'd suggest. No pressure. But there was pressure from within, from the fear of losing the fragile normalcy I'd built. The first real conflict hit when Julian invited me to a pride event downtown. "It's just a parade, Ethan. Fun, music, people being themselves." I wanted to go, craved the freedom he embodied, but visions of my aunt's disapproving frown, or worse, my co-workers finding out and sidelining me on projects, held me back. "I can't," I said, and the hurt in his eyes cut deep. "Why not?" "Afraid someone might see." His words stung because they were true. That night, alone in my house, I questioned everything. Was hiding worth the loneliness? Our relationship deepened despite the hurdles. Julian opened up about his past. a high school bullying incident that left him with a chipped tooth and a resolve to never back down. I shared my parents' accident, how it left me orphaned and adrift, clinging to stability. We found solace in each other, but external pressures mounted. At a local bar one evening, after he'd convinced me to grab drinks, a group of guys from his old neighborhood spotted us. Their jeers, "Look at the landscaper and his fancy boyfriend," echoed, and Julian tensed, ready to fight. I pulled him away, heart pounding. "See? This is what happens," I whispered later. He shook his head. "Only if you let it." By the end of that first month, I was torn. Julian represented change, excitement, authenticity, but change meant risk. As he left one day, shirt back on but the memory of our shared vulnerability lingering, I wondered if I could bridge the gap between my hidden self and the world outside. The following week brought a shift, as if the universe conspired to test us. Julian arrived for his usual Tuesday slot, but this time he seemed distant, his smiles forced. "Rough night," he muttered when I asked. Later, as we raked leaves together, autumn creeping in early, he confessed. His mom had found out about us from a mutual friend who'd seen us at the bar. "She's not thrilled. Thinks I'm wasting time on someone who's not all in." His words hit like a punch. Was I all in? I wanted to be, but fear held the reins. We argued for the first time that day, voices low but intense under the oak tree in my yard. "You act like being with me is a dirty secret," he said, dropping the rake. "I'm not ashamed, Ethan. Are you?" I denied it, but my hesitation spoke volumes. He stormed off, leaving the job half done, and I spent the evening pacing, replaying our moments. The way his laugh filled the silence, how his touch grounded me. By midnight, I texted him an apology, and he showed up the next morning with coffee, forgiveness in his eyes. "We figure this out together," he said. But reconciliation was short-lived. My aunt, sensing something off during her surprise visit, grilled me over dinner. "Who's that man always around? You need to focus on your future, find a wife, start a family like your parents wanted." Her words, rooted in old-school values, echoed the societal expectations I'd internalized. I deflected, but guilt festered. That weekend, at the family barbecue, cousins teased about my single status, and I laughed along, hating myself for it. Julian called afterward, sensing my mood. "Come over," he urged. For the first time, I did. His apartment in Pilsen was a stark contrast to my tidy house, cluttered with plants, tools, and posters from indie bands. We talked for hours, sharing dreams. Him expanding his business, me pursuing freelance art without corporate chains. As the night wore on, vulnerability peaked. He admitted past heartbreaks from guys who bailed when things got real. "Don't be like them," he pleaded. I promised I wouldn't, and in that moment, under the soft lamp light, our bond solidified. But leaving his place at dawn, sneaking back to my life, felt like betrayal. Social conflicts escalated. At work, a virtual meeting turned awkward when a colleague joked about diversity hires, and I stayed silent, fearing outing myself. Julian, hearing about it later, challenged me. "Silence is complicity, man." His activism clashed with my caution. Then came the neighborhood watch meeting, where Mrs. Hargrove complained about undesirables loitering, code for anyone different. Julian, who attended as a local business owner, spoke up against the bigotry, earning glares. I sat quietly, pulse racing, admiring his courage but terrified of association. Our dates became clandestine. Drives to secluded parks, late-night diners on the outskirts. One evening, at a quiet spot by Lake Michigan, waves crashing nearby, he took my hand. "I love you," he said simply. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. I reciprocated, but doubt whispered. Could love survive the divide? Back home, an anonymous note in my mailbox. "Watch who you hang with," chilled me. Was it Hargrove? A neighbor? Paranoia set in. The turning point came mid-September. Julian landed a big contract for a community garden project. Excited to make a difference. He invited me to the groundbreaking, a public event. Be there as my partner, he said. I agonized. Accepting meant visibility. Declining meant losing him. I chose to go heart in throat. There, amid shovels and speeches, we stood together, his arm around me briefly. Whispers rippled, curious stares from attendees. My aunt, who volunteered nearby, spotted us and froze, her expression a mix of shock and disappointment. That night, she confronted me at home. Is this what you've been hiding? Your parents would be heartbroken. Her words unleashed a flood, years of suppression boiling over. I defended us, voice shaking. They'd want me happy. She left in tears, vowing to pray for me. Julian, when I told him, held me close. Proud of you, he murmured. But the victory was bittersweet. Rifts widened. As fall deepened, our relationship faced more trials. Julian's business suffered, clients canceling, citing personal reasons. He suspected homophobia, fueled by rumors. I offered support, but my own job security loomed. A promotion opportunity arose, but with it, scrutiny. Keep your personal life private, my boss advised obliquely. Choices loomed. Embrace authenticity or retreat. Through it all, emotions swirled. Love, fear, anger. Julian's resilience inspired me, but societal barriers tested our limits. One rainy evening, as we argued again about visibility, he asked, "What are we doing if we can't be real?" I had no answer, only the ache of uncertainty. October brought crisp air and mounting pressure, as if the changing leaves mirrored our evolving turmoil. Julian's business hit a snag when a major client, a church group, pulled out after hearing things about his lifestyle. He shrugged it off publicly, but privately at his apartment he broke down. I fought for everything, Ethan. Now this. Holding him, I felt the weight of injustice, the way society punished those who dared to live openly. It fueled my resolve, but also amplified my fears. We decided to fight back subtly. Julian organized a fundraiser for LGBTQ youth, and I volunteered anonymously at first, designing flyers from home. But he pushed for more. Show up. Be seen. Reluctantly, I did at a small event in a community center. There, surrounded by allies and stories of struggle, I felt a sense of belonging I'd never known. A young kid shared his coming-out horror, mirroring my internal battle. Julian beamed at me from across the room, pride evident. Yet backlash followed. My aunt rallied family members, sending emails about moral decay and urging intervention. Cousins distanced themselves, one even unfriending me on social media. At work, rumors circulated after a colleague saw me at the event. Everything okay? My boss asked, tone probing. I nodded, but paranoia grew. Julian, sensing my withdrawal, confronted me. You can't keep dipping in and out. It's all or nothing. His ultimatum hung heavy, forcing me to confront my choices. A pivotal moment came during a weekend getaway to Wisconsin Dells, our first real escape. Amid water parks and quiet hikes, we shed pretenses. I want a future with you, Julian said by the campfire, stars overhead. But not in shadows. I agreed, vowing change. Back home, I came out to a close friend, Jake from college. His support, "About time, man," bolstered me. But not all reactions were kind. Another friend, conservative-leaning, ghosted me. Societal conflicts peaked at a town hall meeting on local policies. Julian spoke passionately against discrimination in housing and business, drawing applause and boos. I sat in the audience, heart swelling. But when a heckler shouted slurs, security intervened. Later, Julian's truck was vandalized. Tires slashed, a hateful note left. Police dismissed it as random, but we knew better. This is the cost, he said wearily. I raged internally. Why should love demand such sacrifice? Our intimacy deepened amid the chaos. Evenings spent cooking together, sharing playlists, debating politics. Moments of normalcy that highlighted what we fought for. But doubts crept in. My promotion was denied, cited as fit issues. Coincidence? I suspected not. Julian's mom, warming slightly after meeting me, warned, "The world isn't kind to folks like you." Her words echoed my fears. Thanksgiving loomed, a flashpoint. My aunt hosted, insisting I attend as family. Julian wanted to join to make a statement. No more hiding. I wavered, imagining the drama. The accusatory stares, heated arguments. In the end, I invited him, steeling for confrontation. The dinner started civilly, but tensions erupted when my uncle quipped about traditional values. Julian countered calmly, defending equality. Chaos ensued. Raised voices, my aunt in tears, relatives storming out. I stood by Julian, but the fallout was brutal. Family texts flooded in, disownment threats, pleas to think of the children. Exhausted, I questioned if love was worth the fracture. Julian held firm. Family isn't blood. It's who stands by you. His words resonated, but pain lingered. As winter approached, we navigated the debris. Julian's business rebounded with supportive clients. Mine stabilized. But scars remained. One night, after a quiet dinner, he proposed moving in together. Let's build our own world. The idea thrilled and terrified me. Acceptance meant irreversible change, rejection, potential loss. Emotions climaxed in a heated discussion. I'm tired of fighting alone, Julian admitted. I realized my passivity had burdened him. I'm in, I said finally, committing fully. But external forces loomed, testing our newfound unity. December's chill mirrored the frost in my family ties. But with Julian, warmth persisted. We moved forward cautiously, him spending more nights at my place, our routines intertwining like vines. Mornings with coffee in bed, evenings debating movies. Simple joys amid complexity. Yet society didn't relent. A local news story on rising hate crimes unnerved us, especially after Julian received anonymous threats online, linked to his activism. Work became a battleground. My boss, under pressure from higher-ups, suggested I tone down personal affiliations. Company image, he said. I pushed back, filing a complaint with HR, invoking anti-discrimination policies. It was my first real stand, inspired by Julian. He cheered me on, but worry etched his face. Be careful. His caution stemmed from experience, a past job loss after being outed. Personal growth intertwined with conflict. I attended therapy, unpacking years of internalized shame. Sessions revealed how my parents' death had amplified my need for stability, equating visibility with risk. Julian joined a couples group, sharing our story anonymously. There, we heard tales of resilience. Couples overcoming odds, families reconciling. It gave hope, but reality bit hard. A major dispute arose over holidays. My aunt, unyielding, excluded Julian from Christmas. Until you come to your senses. Hurt, I boycotted spending the day with his mom instead. She welcomed me warmly, sharing stories of Julian's youth, his rebellious streak, his kind heart. He's strong because of you, she said. It mended some wounds, but my family's absence ached. New Year's Eve brought reflection. At a low-key party with allies, we toasted to progress. But a drunken guest's comment, "You two are so brave," irritated Julian. Brave for what? Existing? It sparked debate on privilege and struggle. Later, alone, we clashed. You don't get it, he said. I've lost friends, jobs. You can still pass. His words highlighted our differences. My middle-class buffer versus his blue-collar battles. Reconciliation came swiftly, but seeds of resentment lingered. January ushered in a professional opportunity for Julian, a partnership with a progressive firm. Excited, he dove in, but it meant longer hours, straining us. I felt neglected, voicing it one night. You're pulling away, he denied, but fatigue showed. My own work stabilized post-complaint, with an apology from management, but trust eroded. The core controversy erupted mid-month. A viral social media post from the town hall resurfaced, tagging Julian in hateful threads. Trolls targeted us, doxing my address. Panic set in, calls to police, heightened security. This is too much, I confessed. Julian, defiant, rallied supporters online. His boldness clashed with my instinct to retreat. If we hide, they win, he argued. I countered. But at what cost? Family intervened unexpectedly. My aunt called, voice softened. I miss you. Can we talk? We met at a neutral cafe. She admitted fears rooted in her upbringing, worried for my soul. I shared my happiness with Julian, challenging her views. Tears flowed. No resolution, but a crack in the wall. Think about it, she said. Emboldened, I proposed to Julian during a quiet dinner. Nothing flashy, just a promise ring. Marry me someday? His yes was tearful, sealing our commitment, but joy was tempered by ongoing threats. We considered relocating, weighing roots against safety. As spring hinted, tensions peaked in a public confrontation. At a community fair, a former client accosted Julian, spewing vitriol. I stepped in, defending him loudly. Fists nearly flew, but bystanders intervened. The incident made local news, outing me fully. Coworkers reacted mixed, support from some, silence from others. Family fractured further. Aunt distanced, but a cousin reached out positively. Through it all, our love endured, forged in fire. Choices defined us. Julian's unyielding authenticity, my evolving courage. But questions lingered, was society changing? Or were we just casualties? With the incident behind us, we focused on healing. Julian's business thrived on newfound publicity, attracting inclusive clients. My designs gained traction in queer-friendly circles, a silver lining. We moved in together officially, transforming my house into our home. His plants on shelves, our photos on walls. Mornings felt right, his presence a constant anchor. Yet, remnants of conflict persisted. Anonymous harassment dwindled but left scars. Therapy helped, teaching boundaries. Julian's mom became a regular visitor, bridging gaps. My family remained splintered. Aunt sent occasional cards, hinting at thaw, but no full reconciliation. Cousins divided, some supportive, others absent. Socially, we engaged more. Julian led workshops on tolerance. I joined panels on workplace equality. Victories came. A local ordinance against discrimination passed, partly due to our advocacy. But setbacks too. A friend's betrayal, sharing private details online. Trust became selective. Emotionally, we navigated highs and lows. Anniversaries celebrated milestones. Our first meeting, the proposal. But arguments flared over pacing. Julian pushing for marriage, me cautious of legal ties amid uncertainty. Why wait? He'd ask. Life's unpredictable. His point hit home, echoing my parents' sudden loss. A final trial emerged in late spring. Julian's ex, from a toxic past, resurfaced, claiming unfinished business. Jealousy surged in me, but Julian shut it down firmly. You're my future. Tested fidelity, reinforcing our bond. Society's gaze intensified with our visibility. Stares at stores, whispers at events. We countered with pride, holding hands defiantly. As summer returned, circling back to our beginning, reflection dominated. We'd weathered storms, family rifts, career threats, societal bigotry. Love prevailed, but at cost. Choices shaped us. Embracing identity over conformity, love over fear. In the end, standing in our backyard where it all started, shirts off under the sun, Julian turned to me. Worth it. I nodded, knowing the journey's toll but also its gifts. Was it right to prioritize personal happiness over familial and societal expectations, even if it meant enduring discrimination and loss?